How you doing, Bill?
Hey, good, John. How you doing?
Great. Thank you. A lot of guys are opting out because of pre-existing conditions with them, also pre-existing conditions at home. What is the challenge of coaching during the pandemic when you have Jack at home, and then plus you got to worry when you get to work about so many players and in unprecedented circumstances?
Well, for us, I think the key is a one day at a time attitude. Obviously, we do think long term on certain things, but relative to that, it's one day at a time. Everybody's getting tested every single day. There's testing available for families if players choose to, take advantage of that. Um, I just think that's what 32 teams are dealing with. And so far for us, we've had 100% over the last 3 days. We've had 100% negative tests, which I think is a testament to our staff and our players that, they're obviously taking this thing seriously. And, our building has been, I think maybe we've shown some of our building publicly, but our building has been basically redone, refurbished in every way, shape, or form. You've got um, three different locker rooms we're using, the cafeteria's redone, new flooring, everything. So I feel like we're headed in the right direction.
After the Patrick Mahomes deal was done, how does that affect Deshaun Watson's situation? And can you update the contract situation with Deshaun?
Well, I just tell you, Matt, respectfully, we're not going to talk about contracts in the media, but, we obviously have stated and we have so much belief in Deshaun. We love Deshaun. We want him here for a long time, but, we're not going to, negotiate contracts or do anything like that through the media. We'll keep that between us and Deshaun's representatives. But, he's here, he's excited, and we're excited about the season.
Given any thought to as weird as this sounds, potentially quarantining a quarterback? I've seen some other teams mention that. And along those lines, just with the circumstances of this year, are there any positions at which depth maybe takes on some heightened importance compared to a normal year?
We've gone through thousands of different scenarios. We do that every single day. Just talking about any position on the team, whether it's the quarterback position or, the kicker, the long snapper, any position. And so that's something that there's a lot of unknowns, but we feel like with the roster flexibility that we have, the roster versatility that we have, and also the rules that are going to be in place relative to the roster, we think that we'll be able to deal with those things. But there's just so many unknowns. It's hard to say exactly what's going to happen, but we try to cover all bases every single day.
Hey, Bill, Greg Bailey here. Good afternoon,
Hey,
or whatever it is. Could you just describe what this training camp will look like? Will you begin with conditioning? Will players be distanced? When will players get together in what we would call old school football drills?
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely different, Greg. We had our first team meeting yesterday. We're in the bubble. We're meeting in the bubble. Our people have done a great job of setting up the bubble. Everybody from our operations people to our video people, everybody's done an unbelievable job getting this building ready. Our cafeteria is different. There's auxiliary cafeterias that we can use. It's just different. And then when you're standing up in front of the team and you have a mask on and they all have masks on and everybody's really, distanced, there's no doubt that it's different. The first couple of weeks here will be a lot of strength and conditioning and walkthroughs, and then we'll progress into kind of like an OTA type mode. And then I'd say the first day in full pads would be August 14th. And that's when we'll start, what we always call real football. But up until that point, it's definitely a ramp up schedule that we're trying to take advantage of. We've been using it with our rookies right now, and they seem to be progressing well with it. So I know our full team will.
Opting out is a very personal decision for everybody, especially with the global health crisis everybody's going through. What was it just like talking with Eddie about his decision to opt out? And if you could give us updates on the health of Laremy Tunsil and Titus Howard, some guys that had off-season surgeries.
Yeah, I would say that, like you said, Aaron, those are, personal conversations, but Eddie was very respectful. He called and we talked about it. And, he does have a pre-existing condition, and he's also had family members that have dealt with it over the last 6 months. So, he's making a decision in the best interest of his family, and we respect that decision. And on Tunsil and Howard, those guys came back, passed their physicals, look good, and they'll be out there with us.
Thank you.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, I just wanted to ask, do you feel like you guys were able to address all of your needs on defense that you wanted to going into the offseason, especially given how everything played out with the pandemic and everything?
I think that, right now we have a lot of versatility up front at linebacker and in the secondary. We feel good about it. And then, relative to just the overall roster, we always look at the roster. We're always trying to make decisions or think about decisions that are in the best interest of the team. We always do that. So, we'll continue to do that. But as we sit here right now at the very beginning of training camp, feel good about where we are.
Bill, you addressed Deshaun's contract a little bit, but from everything he said, he wants to sign this deal and he appreciates the situation he's in Houston. He's vouched for you on multiple occasions, including after that Kansas City game. I was just wondering, as a coach, what does that loyalty he's shown mean to you?
Like I said in the beginning, Deshaun is a great player, an even better person, and we want him here for a long time. And anytime you hear a player say that about you, it means a lot, but I feel the same way about him. And, I know that we're working hard. We're not going to really talk about it in the media, but obviously we feel so strongly about him and the future of him, in this offense, in this organization, and we want him here for a long time.
What are your thoughts on, I know the Bills announced yesterday they had to send some rookies home because of the positive tests. As a staff and organization, are you guys almost anticipating that you're going to have some form of issue, however many it might be? And my second part to that is what feedback have y'all gotten from the players as far as just overall concerns coming in to get the work done and, of course, the safety end of everything?
So first of all, I think look, I think like I said, you take it one day at a time. So far, it's been good. I mean, look, I know it's very, very early, but we've with the full team here over the last 3 days with physicals and really longer than that, the testing protocols that they had to go through starting last week. We feel really good about where we're at. We have zero positive tests. So I think that's a good sign. We do obviously anticipate it's such a transmittable disease. That's what concerns you. But I do believe our players understand how important it is when they leave the building to think we have a really good veteran team that understands that. And, we're ready. We talk about it all the time. If someone or a certain amount of people were to contract it, unfortunately, that may happen. We have to be ready for that, and we talk about those scenarios all the time. But so far, so good. I forget the second question, Randy.
It was just overall, like, what do you, as far as the time with the players already, what concerns have you heard about the players being concerned about their safety coming in, getting the work done, but just the overall safety?
Yeah, I think guys really view this place, NRG, and all the changes we've made. I don't want to speak for everybody, but they're impressed with the changes we've made, and like I said to Sports Illustrated last week, the McNairs have invested a lot of money in the improvements and what it was going to take to get this building ready. And, I think the players are impressed with that. I think we have a good schedule. We've broken the team up into 5 different teams. And so guys are staggered coming into the building, and the weightlifting staggered, and the training rooms. We have 3 different training rooms. And then eventually we'll all end up on the field at the same time. But the scheduling has been monumental task, but I feel like we're off to a good start with scheduling.
My question is, in society at large, there's a lot of misinformation about COVID. And if you look through various sports, different athletes have put out things that are misinformation. And it's just, there's a lot of misinformation out there. How can you make sure that your players are all on board with what you're doing in the building and outside the building? What kind of education that you're doing for them?
Great question. We've spent probably the first, I would say 3 or 4 virtual meetings. Dr. Muntz educated him on the corona. From a coaching perspective, I educated him on the corona. Jeff Kaplan is involved with educating him. Roland Ramirez, Jack Easterby. I think every single day there's been some type of education on it, and I don't understand why it's been politicized as much as it has, but it has. But obviously we tell our players, like, I don't really care what somebody, politicizes about mask wearing. Mask wearing has been proven, scientifically proven, to reduce your chances of getting the coronavirus. So we're going to do that. We're going to wear our masks when we're in the building and until we get out to practice with helmets on. But we're going to also socially distance. That's also been scientifically proven. We have face recognition doorways all around. We have traffic patterns within the building. We have 3 different training rooms, 3 different locker rooms. Our weight room is being scrubbed about probably a half a dozen times a day. So I feel like we're really on the right track with where we're headed with it. And I think our players understand that, and we'll continue to educate them. I tell them every morning, like this morning, hey, we had 0 negatives. 0 positive tests. We had 100% negatives, and that's a good thing. So, kind of report to them, at least initially here, every morning about that.
Hey, Bill, curious, I've talked to a lot of people about Deshaun's decision-making, but you spend more time with him than anybody. If you could kind of break down what makes him a good decision-maker, how he's a decision-maker, and just kind of inform us in that sense about that skill set he has.
Yeah, he's an excellent decision maker. He's a very instinctive player. One of his greatest traits is that he really has an understanding. He can see the field really well. He makes really good decisions. I think from where he was as a rookie to where he is now, it's improved leaps and bounds, and it'll continue to get better because of all the reps he gets in practice and how well he understands the pro game now. But he's a very instinctive player, and he's an excellent decision maker. Hey, Brad.
What do you think when you see Major League Baseball having to postpone, cancel games? They've had some issues, but they're obviously trying. You've got the NBA in its own bubble. The NFL is doing everything it can to make this work. What do you think about just the overall, route the NFL's tried to do, understanding the complexity of all this, but they're not in a bubble like the NBA is?
Right. I think I really, I'm going to try my hardest to stay away from commenting on the other sports because I read about it leading up to training camp. I do understand the bubble concept in the NBA, which I know so far is working really well. I know the Major League Baseball, a couple teams have had problems. What I'm saying is I think it's a great question, and I think that the NFL protocols. I mean, on July 3rd, Jack and I received a 45-page email that basically was saying, okay, this is what you need to do to be ready for when your players arrive. And it was very comprehensive and really, to be honest with you, very strict. And it's changed a little bit even since July 3rd, but there's daily testing. I mean, I've been tested 20 times for the coronavirus personally. And the players are getting tested every single day. And then all the things we had to put in place in the building. I think for football, it would be hard to, just my own opinion, it would be hard to bubble football because of the amount of people, the players, the staff that it takes to run a football team. I think it's hard to do that relative to the amount of players and staff in the NBA. I know there's a lot of staff and players in the NBA, but not as many as in the National Football League. So I think for us in the National Football League, it's going to be, doing a great job of continuing to emphasize when they leave the building and making sure, also that we have great empathy for these guys, that we understand what they're going through, and we understand there may be concerns and things may come up. But the biggest thing is when they leave the building, because right now, I told somebody the other day, this is the cleanest building in Houston. I mean, this building, you could eat off the floor in here. But I think it's going to be the most disciplined team away from the building is going to have the best chance to win.
Hey, Bill.
Hey,
Rookies
Vanessa.
always need guidance every year anyway. I mean, especially this year. Who are some of the veterans that you and Jack are talking to about, hey, let's help get these guys up to speed?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like I've said, I think it's going to be a tough year for rookies. I don't think that, rookies usually have 8 weeks of spring, right after the draft all the way through June. They usually have, a ton of time to get indoctrinated into pro football and, everything from, changing their diets to how we practice to how we lift and all that. So I think the veteran leadership on this team is going to be key. Obviously, you have the guys that have been here for a long time. You've got Deshaun Watson, you've got J.J. Watt, you've got Bernardrick McKinney, you've got Dylan Cole, Brennan Scarlett. All those guys arrived on the roster in different ways. Some guys were, Dylan Cole was a rookie tryout guy, and then there were guys who were drafted in the first round and everybody in between. So those guys are going to have to do a great job of leading and sharing their own experiences with these rookies, as we progress towards the season. But that's a big part of this season for these rookies. That we've talked about that a lot with these guys, that they follow the lead of the great veterans at their position, the Justin Reeds, the Brandon Cookses, the Randall Cobbs, all those guys that are on our team, and there's many more. I think that's a big part of this season.
Hey, Bill, how are you?
Hey, Mark.
So a couple questions. One, what are the issues that go with having no preseason games this year? And two, because of what's going on, you don't have the opportunity to maybe to develop a player like a Dylan Cole. What do you think about that as well?
Yeah, I think that's going to be different. I really do. I think that we're going to have to plan at least 2 or 3 scrimmages. And I think that's also going to be different for coaches, where coaches aren't going to be able to have those preseason games to iron out some of the communication, from the sideline to the press box and things like that, and substitutions during a game. So, we've planned on a couple scrimmages that we're going to have, maybe even more than that, to work on everything and to give players an opportunity to get on film, bring officials in here and give players an opportunity to get on film and do some things that, they would have been able to do or show in preseason games. I think that's a big thing that is missing, but we're all dealing with it. But I think that's part of our planning is how do we substitute for those preseason games. I think the other one, I think everybody on this call knows that I enjoy the joint scrimmages. When we scrimmage over the years, we've done it, I think 12 or 13 times. Those are things that we love to do, but we're not going to be able to do those either. Scrimmage the Saints, scrimmage the Falcons, the Broncos, all the teams that we've scrimmaged. So again, we're going to have to break it up during training camp and have some, like I said, have some scrimmages and try to get these guys ready for the season.
You're talking about like inter-squad. You're not talking about other teams, correct? Just
we can't do other
stuff?
teams.
Yeah.
We can't. Yeah, that's right. It'd be inter-squad. You can't scrimmage another team.
And the other
So
thing
I'm talking about inter-squad.
Right. The second part of that question was, because of the situation, you don't have the opportunity to develop a Dylan Cole type. How much of a negative is that you can't look at guys that you don't know a great deal about and come up with something like that?
Yeah, I think these questions are really good because they do pinpoint some of the differences. I do believe that you can still develop players. I think our staff does a good job of that. I believe that we'll be able to develop players, but a guy like Dylan Cole, if he was a rookie this year, it would have been a lot harder for him because he wouldn't have had all that. Like I was saying in the previous question, he wouldn't have had that 8-week spring. He came here as a rookie tryout guy, and he worked and he developed and he carved out a role for himself. You're not going to have as much opportunity to do that. Doesn't mean it can't be done. I don't want to say that it can't be done, but I just think it's going to be a lot harder.
How is your son Jack doing, and how difficult is it for you to coach under these circumstances and then go home to Jack?
Yeah, it's like John, it's day to day with Jack. Give Colleen a lot of credit. She's 24/7 with Jack and Michael. I think that we're practicing, especially like I said here, we're practicing good social distancing habits. We're wearing masks. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We're washing our hands 50 times a day. We're, you know, I know that our family, we've talked about it. You know, there's definitely concerns when it comes to that. You know, if Jack were to contract the coronavirus, it would not be good for Jack. So it wouldn't be good for anybody in anybody's family, but especially someone, special needs child like Jack. So Colleen and I have talked a lot about it. And you know, we feel like we're handling it the right way. It's been a tough 6 months for everybody's families. You know, we're just trying to take it one day at a time.
You've had some pretty strong words about everything going on in the world right now, COVID related, obviously social justice related. Your team, your players want their voices to be heard, always have, and you have a locker room with Justin Reed and Michael Thomas, Kenny Stills, many others. What do all their actions, yours, what does it do for the leadership in the locker room? How does this affect the team?
Yeah, I'm proud of this team. You know, I think, you know, there was a time, Adam, where maybe this is my 27th year in coaching, where you had to, you know, in the locker room, the old school way was you had to separate politics from the locker room, religion from the locker room. And I think those times, in my opinion, those times are over. You know, I think that these guys are very aware of what's going on in the world. They're very passionate about what's going on in the world. Like I've said over and over again, I stand with our black players relative to what's happened over the last 6 months in this country. Black Lives Matter. I saw what the NBA did last night. I mean, that was a very, very, in my opinion, powerful statement that the NBA made last night, I believe it was. So, you know, I stand with our players. We have not spoken about it yet. Our whole team was here last night for the first time. We're focused on football. We're focused on, you know, really getting off to the right start here. But eventually we'll talk about it and we'll decide what we're going to do headed into the season. But yeah, I'm very respectful of our players and their opinions of what's going on in the world.
Bill, has everyone on the team reported to camp?
You know, I think we'll release an official deal on that. I would say that as of right now, no, but we're still, the way that we did it, Sarah, was we staggered the arrivals. So it doesn't mean anything other than that it's not 100% yet.
Hey, Bill, I'm wondering, there's not many receivers who are actually end up playing on their fifth-year option. I think Will is only the third one, and like since 2011, if I remember the stat correctly. Where's he kind of at, just as physically and mentally as he enters this season, Will Fuller?
I think, you know, he's showed up and he's in great shape. Looks good. He's been working out, working hard. He's excited about the season. He's excited about our offense. And we're excited about having him for 16 games. You know, he looks as good as he's ever looked. That you know, makes us happy, makes us feel like we're going to get off on the right foot here.
Just how do you feel overall about the team and the kind of team you may have this year? Obviously, it'll be a while till you play in a game, but just heading into camp, how do you feel about just the state of the roster and your ability to be competitive?
Yeah, we're excited about our team. We had a good team meeting last night. Everybody was in tune. There's a good energy in the building. I think a lot of that has to do with the type of guys we have on our team. Really good professional team, and a lot of that has to do with the changes that we've made in the building.